Hey guys, my name is Gabe and this is episode 24 to Let's Make Rust. So in this episode we're going to be working on our inventory system like we did before, but this time we're going to be doing some simple stuff like we're going to make the inventory show up and it's going to disappear when we hit a key, and we're also going to make it so that it generates our slots for us instead of doing this manually, because we don't want to do this manually. So as we can see, we have 30 slots, so I'm just going to delete this for now. Actually, yeah, we'll just keep it for now. I know I changed my mind a lot, but and really quickly, so we're going to go to our scripts folder, and we're going to make a new folder, and I'm just going to call this something like inventory, and inside of here, I'm going to make a new script, and this is just going to be called inventory. Alright, so if we open that up, okay, just hit reload all as usual. Okay, so I'm just going to remove all this, and I'm going to make a public integer. So it's going to be public int and slot amount. And I'm also going to create a public game object, and this is going to be slot, well, how should we call this? Slot parent. Okay, so we're also, let's see, we're going to do private void start. So in here, we're going to be create our slots. So I'm going to make a private void called create slots, and this is going to take in the slot amount. So we're going to do integer slots, and we're going to do for int I is equal to 0, I is less than slots, and we're going to do I++. Okay, so inside of this for loop, very simply going to, oh right, okay, we have to include our actual slot object. I knew I was missing something. So we're going to do public game object, and it's going to be called slot prefab. Okay, so we're going to be instantiating, so we're going to do instantiate, we're going to do slot prefab on, I guess, well, we don't necessarily need a position, so I'm just going to do that. I'm going to call this game object slot instance, which is equal to, and this might give us errors. Interesting. I would have thought it would have given us errors because we have to cast it to a game object. I'm just going to do that. So I'm going to cast this to a game object so that it knows. And let's see, after this, we're going to set its parent to the slot parent. So we're going to do slot instance dot set parent, or right, we have to do that dot transform dot set parent, and we have to do slot parent dot transform. Might have to do the position. Okay, yeah. So this should already work. If we go in here and we do create slots, and we're gonna do slot amount, so this should create our 30 slots. So I'll just make this by default 30. So if we go to our game here and we go to inventory, I might just, where should I put this? Do I have some sort of inventory manager? No, I don't. Okay, so I'm just gonna make a empty object. I'm just gonna call this inventory. Just kind of looking through, making sure, and I'm gonna reset its position. Okay, and I might put this on the player because it kind of makes sense if we do this multiplayer. Actually, no, that doesn't matter if it's multiplayer or not. It'll still work. Okay, so we'll just leave it here for now. It doesn't matter too much. And we're going to take our inventory class and we're just going to put it here, just like that. And we're going to get our slot prefab, which we have right here. So if we go to inventory, we have our slot right here. So we're going to take our slot and put it right here, slot prefab. And our slot parent, we're going to go right here to slots, and we're going to put that right there. And now we can delete all these slots. So I'm just going to do delete. And when we hit start, we should see 30 slots appear. Hopefully, if it ever loads. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, it worked. It created 30 slots, and the reason it's padded out nicely and everything already is because we already set that up in our slots parent. Like we have this grid layout. So this grid layout takes care of that. So like I showed you last episode, if we put in a slot, it'll automatically align it to that grid, which is really neat. I really like that. I'm happy that that was included with Unity 5. So, or what was this? Unity 4.6, I believe they added this, added the new UI. Okay, so enough rambling. I'm gonna make it so that we can open and close the inventory now. So I'm gonna do private void update, and in here you might want to make a public key code called inventory key, which is by default I'm gonna make keycode.tab, which is, well, our tab key. So I'm gonna go right here, if input.getKeyDown keycode, or not keycode, excuse me, inventory key, then we're going to toggle our inventory status. So we're gonna make a public bool here. Let's see, is shown, which is equal to false by default, and is shown is equal to the opposite of is shown. Alright, so that should work nicely. So we're going to do set is shown opposite of is shown, and this is if input get key, hold on, actually, if get key down inventory key. Okay, and we're just going to, this should work actually. No, it shouldn't work. Okay, so we have a bool that shows it. So now we have to do here, we have to do if is shown is equal to true, and we're going to do else if is shown is equal to false. I rely on IntelliSense way too much. Okay, so if is shown is true, we're going to get our inventory object. So I'm going to make a new game object. It's going to be called our inventory object. Okay, so our inventory object dot set active true, and we're just going to copy this. Same thing, instead of true, we're going to do false. Okay, great. So this should work. So if we hit play, the inventory should disappear. No, it doesn't. We forgot to assign the inventory. So if we go to the inventory here, we'll just assign the inventory canvas. So there we go, we have our inventory canvas. So if we hit play, it should disappear, as it did. If we hit tab, you can see the inventory appear now. If we hit tab again, you should see that it has disappeared. So this is working nicely. There are a few things still that we are going to have to do, such as make the mouse cursor appear back on the screen, and we're going to work on slots. So the slots are going to have the slots are going to have some sort of functionality. I was thinking we can do something really simple really quick. So you might not see it in this episode, but we're going to make it so that whenever you mouse over the slot, it'll kind of give an outline. So I'm just going to drag a slot in here into our slots parent. So right here, slots. So we could just see one slot, and I'm going to give this an outline, and I'm going to change the color to something like white, maybe orange or something. It doesn't really matter, it's up to you, personal preference. So what's going to happen here is when you mouse over the button, it's just going to show the outline like this, and when you get the mouse away, it's going to disappear. So it gives a kind of sense of, it just feels kind of more satisfying to use the inventory this way. Maybe we can make this thicker. I don't know, we'll just leave that at -1. And I'm going to take this outline, and I'm going to disable it. And in our inventory script, I'm thinking we'll do this. I'm going to make a C# script called slot effect. And in here, we're going to have to do using, I believe, event system. So Unity engine.event systems, and we have to extend the iPointer down, or iPointer enter handler, and the iPointer exit handler. And we're just going to import these unimplemented methods. So I believe this. Yeah, okay, so that's what we wanted. And now we have to do the same thing for exit. So import interface. Okay, great. So I'm going to remove these throw exceptions here. These, yeah, okay. And I'm going to remove these methods here, start in the update. I'm inside of here going to get an outline, and before we do that, we actually have to do using Unity engine.ui. Okay, so we're going to create our outline now. So we're going to do private outline, and I'm just going to call this outline really simply. And in our start method, we're going to do outline is equal to get component outline. Okay, great. So on pointer enter. We're going to do, how should we do this? I'm debating whether we should do this with a boolean or not. So I'm going to do a private boolean called is inside, which is false. And we're going to do is, we're going to do is inside is equal to true, and is inside is equal to false. I'm thinking we should do something like that. So that maybe we could get some sort of return in the future. So this will be useful for the future. So we're going to do if inside. Okay. I know this might upset some people, but I'm changing my mind again. So I'm going to remove all this. I'm going to remove those booleans, and we're going to do private, public void on pointer enter. Does it have to be public because it's an override? Believe. Yep. Okay, it does have to be public. Okay, so we're going to do outline.enabled is equal to true, and we're going to copy that. We're going to do outline.enabled is false, and in our start method we're going to do outline.enabled is equal to false by default as always, and that should work. So if I go to our slot and I attach this slot effect script, this should already work. So oops, that's going to give us problems. That might have an, yeah, see, it has an extra slot down there. So I'll just delete this. Oh, I have to apply. Okay, so I'm going to apply, then I'm going to delete this. Okay, so as you could see, when we mouse over the buttons or the slots, you can see we have a nice little outline effect on the buttons. So I think this is a nice little feature because it makes it kind of feel more it's more satisfying to use. You get a kind of sense of yes, I'm inside this button and I have the ability to do something. I'm pretty sure this was done in Rust. I'm not exactly sure. I think when you moused in, it would just fade the color of the slot. Don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure, but I think this is a nice effect. So we're just going to keep that. And what I was doing right there is I was hitting tab while we were paused, because our pause manager does not know when the inventory is open just yet. And in the next episode, we're going to add our we're going to work on our pause manager, and it's going to work with our inventory so that our mouse will show if our inventory is up. So that's basically it for today. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like. If you want to get updated with videos that are hopefully going to be daily videos from now on, because I do get home kind of early now and I have a lot of free time now. So just be sure to subscribe and you'll get those updates when I upload, and have a good one.